The story begins with 14-year-old Jake seeing a doll at a yard sale. The seller wants $20, but Jake talks her down to $10. As Jake walks away with the doll, the seller notices a knife is missing from her table. Later, Jake listens to a true crime podcast made by his classmate, Devin. Devin is the son of a local police detective named Kim Evans. The podcast talks about how people think their town, Hackensack, is safe, but crime keeps going up. Devin says the murder rate hasn't been this high since 1965, when the well-known serial killer Charles Lee Ray was around. Jake takes the doll home and puts it on a table, but his cat is scared of it. Jake wants to use the doll's head for an art project. His dad, Lucas, walks in. When Jake asks if his dad likes his art, Lucas brushes him off. He tells Jake that art is a waste of time and won't make him any money. He tells Jake to get some friends and a girlfriend instead. Lucas also says he can't pay the $1,000 for Jake's art camp. He complains that Jake acts too much like his dead mother, saying even she never tried to make money from her art. Finally, Lucas tells Jake to get cleaned up because his cousin's family is coming over for dinner. That night, Jake's cousin Junior comes over with his parents, Logan and Bree. Logan loudly brags about Junior making it to a track meet and how he needs more activities to get into Harvard. At dinner, Junior talks about doing a book drive for homeless people. Jake argues with him, saying homeless people need basic things like food and clothes more than books. Trying to change the subject, Bree asks Jake about his art. Jake says he is still working on it, but Junior makes fun of him. When Jake quotes a famous artist, Junior calls him gay. Lucas yells at the boys to stop and says Jake just doesn't know what he's doing. After the guests leave, an angry Lucas breaks Jake's art pieces while Jake begs him to stop. The next morning, Jake finds his cat dead. The doll is sitting right next to it. Wanting to get rid of the doll, Jake looks online and is shocked to see the exact same doll selling for $1,500. He decides to bring the doll, named Chucky, to school to sell it. On the bus, other kids bully Jake. He sits next to Devin, who is busy reading a true crime magazine. At school, a student asks Jake to introduce them to his popular cousin. Soon, Junior shows up with his girlfriend, Lexi. Lexi acts like she likes Chucky, but when Jake says he wants to sell it, she makes fun of him. She jokes that his family must be really poor if he has to sell his old toys, and she rudely offers him charity money. Later in science class, their teacher, Miss Fairchild, tells them to cut open a frog. Jake is scared, but the teacher tries to help him. When Jake looks down, he is shocked to see his frog is already sliced wide open. Miss Fairchild is surprised and tells him he didn't need to cut it that hard. Suddenly, the whole class starts laughing and looking at their phones. Lexi made a fake GoFundMe page just to make fun of Jake. After class, Jake's locker is too small, so he asks Miss Fairchild if he can keep Chucky in hers. She says yes and then pulls Lexi aside to yell at her about the mean fundraiser. Lexi acts innocent, saying she only wanted to help Jake. She rudely reminds the teacher that her mom is the mayor. As Ms. Fairchild leaves to get the principal, Lexi gets a creepy feeling. She turns around and sees Chucky standing right behind her. Scared, Lexi quickly agrees to delete the webpage when the principal gets there, and she runs away. Ms. Fairchild then locks Chucky in her locker. Later, Devin catches Jake listening to his podcast. Jake lies and says he is watching a teen vampire show, but Devin knows the truth. He tells Jake he doesn't seem like the type to watch teen shows and tells him to stand up to his bullies. Devin then invites Jake to the school talent show. At home, someone messages Jake wanting to buy Chucky. But when Jake gives his phone number, the person, who says his name is Andy, warns Jake to stay away from the doll and to check if it has batteries inside. Just then, Lucas walks into the room holding Chucky. Jake is surprised and asks his dad how he found the doll, explaining that he wants to sell it. Alone in his room, Jake looks up the good guy doll's history. He reads about Charles Lee Ray and finds a creepy pattern of murders linked to kids who own these toys. Remembering Andy's warning, Jake opens the doll's battery pack. It is empty. This means Chucky was talking without any batteries. Freaked out, Jake throws the doll in the trash. At the talent show, Devin finishes playing the piano. Lexi is the host, and she praises Devin but then starts making fun of Jake in front of everyone. She jokes that Jake and Devin might be secretly dating. Out of nowhere, Chucky's voice is heard over the speakers, telling Lexi to pick on someone her own size. The crowd is shocked. Jake runs onto the stage, but Chucky is already holding Lexi's phone. Chucky shows Lexi's secrets to the crowd, showing hidden pictures of Junior and another boy named Oliver. Chucky laughs and says that was supposed to be a secret. Chucky then points to Bree in the crowd, saying everyone has secrets. To make it worse, Chucky reads Lexi's private web searches out loud, embarrassing her for looking up Botox. Jake and Chucky are quickly pulled off the stage. When Jake gets home, Lucas is really angry about what happened at the talent show. He tells Jake to stop acting so weird. Jake talks back, saying his dad doesn't actually hate him for being weird. He hates him because he thinks Jake is gay. Mad, Lucas punches his son, tells him to to never say that again and sends him to his room. A little later, Lucas notices his bottle of whiskey is suddenly empty, which confuses him. Suddenly, the power goes out. As Lucas tries to fix the power box, Chucky sneaks up behind him. After drinking the whiskey, Chucky spits the alcohol onto the exposed wires near Lucas. The liquid instantly conducts electricity, causing a massive shock that kills Lucas on the spot. Detective Kim comes to the house and comforts Jake. She says someone broke into the school the night before, and the only thing stolen was his doll. Jake is surprised and admits he took the doll himself for the talent show. Logan arrives to comfort his nephew. He tells Jake that he will live with their family from now on. Detective Kim says Lucas's death was just an accident. At his new home, Bree shows Jake to his room. She asks him what Chucky meant at the talent show when he talked about her secret. Jake quickly lies and says it was just a joke. After Bree leaves, Jake tries talking to Chucky. Frustrated when the doll doesn't answer, Jake throws him. Suddenly, Chucky sits up and starts talking like a real person. Scared, Jake asks if he is really Charles Lee Ray and if he killed his dad. Chucky casually says yes and claims Lucas deserved it. Jake argues that his dad wasn't always bad, but Chucky doesn't care. With an evil smile, Chucky says Lexi is his next target. A flashback then shows a young Charles Lee Ray purposely hiding a razor blade inside an apple. He takes a bite and smiles happily as his mouth bleeds. The next morning, Junior tries to be mean to Jake in the car, but Logan and Bree tell him to stop. At school, everyone is talking about Jake. Oliver walks up to Jake, says he is sorry about his dad, and invites him to a Halloween party. Lexi and Junior watch this and think Oliver is acting strange. Lexi is still very mad at Jake for embarrassing her. Back at Junior's house, the maid, Annie, is cleaning. She finds a knife in Jake's bedroom and takes it to the kitchen. When she puts it on the knife magnet, Chucky pushes her from behind. Annie falls forward and the knives go straight through her neck. When Jake and Junior get home from school, Jake asks if Junior wants a snack, but Junior is rude to him. Jake is the first to see Annie's dead body. They quickly call their parents and the police. Detectives Kim and Sean arrive to look around. Logan and Bree say Annie was like family and had no issues with Jake. The detectives decide Annie just slipped and fell by accident. Later, Jake asks Chucky why he killed the maid. Chucky says he didn't do it and that she really did slip. He says he only kills people who truly deserve it, and he hasn't killed anyone else lately because he wants to be a good friend to Jake. Meanwhile, Junior hears his parents talking downstairs. Bree is worried Jake might be dangerous because of his bad past and his dad's anger issues. Logan tells her you never really know what someone is thinking. Junior goes to Jake's room and sees pictures of Lexi on Jake's open laptop. He tells Jake to stay away from his girlfriend. After Junior leaves, Jake gets mad at Chucky for opening the laptop. Chucky punches Jake right in the eye. At the police station, Detective Kim asks Devin if Jake is a good kid, and Devin fiercely defends his friend. At Lexi's house, her little sister Caroline is drawing a picture of Chucky. Their parents praise her drawing before leaving for a fancy party. They tell Lexi to take Caroline trick-or-treating, even though Lexi complains about it. That night, Junior goes to Oliver's Halloween party wearing his track medals. At home, Jake comes downstairs with a black eye. Logan and Bree think it's just part of his Halloween costume. Jake doesn't want to go to the party. He wants to be alone. But soon he realizes Chucky is missing. Scared that the doll will kill someone, Jake runs to the party. At the same time, Lexi and Junior are kissing in a bedroom. Chucky is busy playing video games with little Caroline. He casually tells her that he is going to kill her older sister. Chucky then sneaks into the bedroom and hides under the bed with a knife. Before he can stab Lexi through the bed, someone opens the door and the couple leaves to join the party. When Jake gets to the party, some kids lock him and Devin in a room as a joke. When Jake gets out, he sees Lexi's terrible costume. She is dressed up as his dead dad getting electrocuted. Heartbroken, Jake starts crying and says Lexi won't get away with this mean joke. Devin tries to calm him down. Jake goes back inside to look for Chucky. He finds the doll just before it attacks Lexi. Jake stops him and sneaks him back home. In Jake's room, Chucky says sorry for giving him a black eye. He then tries to trick Jake, saying the world is kill or be killed. He says anyone can be a killer if pushed too far, and he tries to talk Jake into killing Lexi for making fun of his dead dad. Chucky even asks if Jake wants to use a knife or choke her. When Jake hesitates and doubts he is a killer, Chucky smiles and says everyone can do it. Jake asks Chucky how he became a killer. Chucky tells a story from his childhood and explains how to pick a target by finding someone who makes your life terrible. Meanwhile, Detective Kim goes to Ms. Fairchild to ask about Jake, but the teacher won't share her student's private business. Later, Ms. Fairchild talks to Jake in the hallway and says she is there if he ever needs to talk. She says she saw the video of Lexi's mean Halloween joke and is setting up a meeting with their parents about it. Jake politely says thank you and hurries away. Listening to Chucky's dark advice, Jake starts following Lexi with a knife. He follows someone wearing Lexi's jacket down the street. Right when he raises the knife to stab her, the person turns around. It is actually Junior wearing her jacket. Junior calls Jake a weirdo and walks away, while Jake quickly hides the knife. A bit later, Junior yells at Lexi for her tasteless costume at the party. He tells her she went too far and makes her agree to apologize to Jake. Lexi goes home and finds Caroline crying because she wants the Chucky doll. Lexi decides to visit Jake. She finds him in his garage, looking at sharp tools. Lexi thinks he is just working on his art. While Jake stands behind her, thinking about killing her, Lexi surprises him by actually saying sorry. She admits her joke was awful, but then she asks Jake to give her the Chucky doll for Caroline. Jake says no right away. Lexi gets mad, calls him a loser, and storms out. Jake tells Chucky what happened. Chucky tells Jake he is weak for losing his nerve. He suggests a new plan. Since Lexi wants the doll, Jake should give it to her. Then, Chucky can get inside her house and kill her himself. Jake agrees and takes the doll to Lexi. Lexi takes it but makes it clear they still aren't friends. Caroline is so happy to get the doll, and her parents play along with her. At school, Ms. Fairchild has a meeting with Logan, Bree, Mayor Michelle, and Lexi's dad, Nathan. She talks about student safety, and Michelle brags about the money they gave for school security. Miss Fairchild then plays the video of Lexi making fun of Jake's dad. Logan is so mad that the school let Lexi do this. Principal McVeigh steps in and asks the parents to work it out peacefully. That night, Lexi throws a house party while her parents are out. She invites Devin, Junior, Oliver, and a few others. Junior gets jealous because Oliver is flirting with Lexi and giving her drinks. Upstairs, Chucky gets out of Caroline's bed and whispers to the sleeping girl that he is going to kill her sister. Caroline wakes up and goes downstairs to look for the doll, but Lexi sends her back to bed. A flashback shows more of Charles Lee Ray's past. When Charles was a boy, someone broke into his house and killed his dad. His mom hid Charles in a closet to keep him safe. When the killer finally opened the closet, he was shocked to see that young Charles had already killed his own mom. The killer was very impressed by how evil the boy was. Back in the present, Chucky sneaks through the dark house. He thinks Oliver is Lexi and stabs him. When he realizes he made a mistake, he doesn't stop. He enjoys stabbing Oliver over and over until the boy dies. After that, Chucky goes after Lexi. While they fight, a fire starts, causing a huge explosion in the house. Lexi is terrified when she sees the living doll. Chucky tries to choke her, but she fights him off and gets away. Soon, the parents arrive, and the hurt kids are taken to the hospital. Jake goes to his mom's grave and says sorry for being a letdown. Then he goes to the hospital to check on Lexi. As soon as Lexi sees him, she demands to know if he knew the doll was alive and if it killed the maid. Jake nods. She asks why he gave it to her, and Jake honestly says he wanted her to die for bullying him. Lexi is shocked and calls him a heartless monster. Somewhere else, Detective Kim asks Devin if Jake had anything to do with the fire. Devin gets annoyed and defends Jake, pointing out he wasn't even at the party. Kim then tells Devin a dark secret. Oliver didn't die in the fire. He was stabbed to death. Devin quickly tells Jake this news. Meanwhile, Lexi's parents blame her for putting Caroline's life in danger. When Lexi tries to blame Jake's doll, they cut her off, saying she has been mean to Jake enough. Still very mad, Lexi yells at Jake again. Jake tells her the police won't believe a story about a killer toy, so they have to stop Chucky themselves. They sneak back into the burnt house to see if the doll survived. Jake tries to be polite to Lexi, but she pushes him away, reminding him that he wanted her dead. At the same time, Devin looks up internet legends. He finds out the truth about the killer Charles Lee Ray and how he put his soul into a good guy doll. Meanwhile, Logan comforts Junior, telling him the fire won't stop his track career. Inside the burnt house, Chucky suddenly jumps out and pushes Lexi over a high balcony. Jake grabs her hand just in time. As she hangs over the edge, Chucky tells Jake to drop her, reminding him of all her bullying. Chucky even climbs down to try and pull her fingers loose himself, but Jake refuses to be a killer and tries hard to pull her up. Just then, Detective Sean walks in. He picks up Chucky, saying Caroline wanted her toy. Jake and Lexi scream at the detective to drop the doll, but he ignores them. Lexi follows the detective to keep an eye on Chucky. Meanwhile, Detective Kim takes Jake to the police station to ask him questions. Detective Sean stops to get a drink before taking Chucky into Caroline's hospital room. He puts the doll next to the sleeping girl and starts eating some snacks. Suddenly, Chucky grabs some sharp medical needles and violently stabs Sean in the back over and over until he dies. Meanwhile, Devin meets with Lexi and Jake to tell them what he learned about Charles Lee Ray. Lexi stops him, saying they already know the doll is alive and killing people. Another flashback shows young Charles Lee Ray in a foster home. home. The other kids liked his scary stories, but a janitor yelled at him. Charles killed the janitor and proudly showed the dead body to the other kids. Most of them ran away scared, but one boy stayed, amazed. Charles gave that boy a severed hand as a sick sign of friendship. In the present, Detective Kim asks Jake questions. She accuses him of killing Oliver for revenge. Jake says he didn't do it, but Kim points out that his doll is always at the crime scenes. Jake hesitates and is just about to tell the truth about the living doll when a hospital alarm goes off. Nurses run into Caroline's room and find Detective Sean's cut-up body. Another flashback shows an older Charles Lee Ray watching a blonde woman get turned down by a man. Charles walks up and talks to her, and they invite another woman, Tiffany, to join them. In the bedroom, Charles pulls out a knife to kill Tiffany. The blonde woman panics, but to her surprise, Tiffany actually loves the danger. Seeing that Tiffany is just as twisted as he is, Charles stabs the blonde woman instead, and lets Tiffany help him finish killing her. Back in the present, Caroline wakes up in the hospital and asks her dad, Nathan, for Chucky. Nathan brings in the doll, but its face is badly melted from the house fire. Caroline is scared of it, so Nathan throws it in the trash. Lexi finds out and tells Jake and Devin. They think the doll might have been crushed in the garbage machine. They dig through the hospital dumpsters but can't find Chucky. The next day at school, Ms. Fairchild reminds Jake, Lexi, and Devin that she is always there if they need to talk. The three kids team up to figure out what Chucky will do next. They guess he will stay in Hackensack since it is his hometown. Lexi says they shouldn't tell Junior because he wouldn't believe them. When Junior walks up and asks what they are whispering about, they lie and say they were talking about a new theme park. Later, Nathan buys Caroline a brand new good guy doll named Tommy. Lexi is paranoid and tests the new doll, but it acts perfectly normal, so she leaves it with her sister. Without anyone seeing, the burnt Chucky sneaks into the room. He does a dark magic trick and moves his soul into the new Tommy doll. A little later, Nathan sees the old, burnt doll lying on the floor and throws it in the garbage. Lexi, Jake, and Devin later find the burnt doll in the trash. Thinking the killer's soul is still inside, they step on it until it is smashed into pieces. They cheer, completely believing that Chucky is finally dead. Finally, Mayor Michelle holds a town meeting to calm everyone down. As it starts, Junior walks up to Lexi, Jake, and Devin, demanding to know what they are really talking about. Lexi loses her temper and tells him the whole truth about the killer doll. Junior thinks she is making up crazy stories and tells her to stop talking. On the stage, Mayor Michelle proudly says that Hackensack is perfectly safe and the recent deaths were just random accidents. As she steps back to let Detective Kim speak, a head suddenly rolls across the stage in front of the crowd. The curtains open to show the headless body of Principal McVeigh. In the crowd, Jake, Lexi, and Devin stare in shock, realizing that Chucky is still alive. Angry and feeling ignored, Junior breaks up with Lexi, accusing her of not caring about him anymore. Somewhere else, Tiffany Valentine is in a hotel room with Nika Pierce. Tiffany previously put her soul into the body of a famous actress named Jennifer Tilly. The two women seem to be getting romantic, but there is a kidnapped man tied to a chair right next to them. When Tiffany leaves the room for a second, Nika suddenly wakes up and gets control of her own body again. Confused, she looks around. She quickly takes the cloth out of the man's mouth. Nika explains that Chucky killed her whole family and blamed it on her, which is why she was put in a mental hospital. She also says that Chucky split his soul into many dolls, but he left a piece of it inside her. Because of this, she keeps switching between being Nika and being Chucky. When Nika is herself, her legs are paralyzed. She tries to untie the man, but Tiffany comes back. Suddenly, Nika stands up on her own. This proves Chucky has taken over her body again. Smiling evilly, Chucky, in Nika's body, cuts the man's throat. He tells Tiffany they should keep this Nika nonsense a secret. At the same time, Andy Barkley and Kyle knock on the door of a random house. A man answers, and they pretend to be government workers counting the people who live there. The man asks them to come back later because his family is eating dinner, but Kyle says it will only take a minute. The man lets them inside. They sit down and ask simple questions about the family. Andy gets impatient and asks the young daughter to go get her toys. The parents are confused, but Kyle lies and says it just helps kids feel comfortable. Kyle wants to be careful, but Andy starts asking weird questions. He asks if the little girl has been hurt lately and if she has any other dolls hidden away. The girl comes back holding a good guy doll. Andy and Kyle stare at it closely. Suddenly, the doll comes alive and starts talking. Andy and Kyle immediately pull out guns and shoot the doll many times. They run out of the house and speed away in their car. As they drive, Kyle worries they just scared the little girl for life. Andy says at least she is safe from the killer doll now. Back in town, Detective Kim arrests Miss Fairchild. She thinks the teacher has something to do with the recent murders. Devin and Lexi try to defend their teacher, but the police don't believe them. Later, Lexi warns Devin and Jake that Chucky is still out there. She says his soul is now inside Caroline's new Tommy doll, and the doll is missing. Around the same time, Bree goes to see her therapist, Dr. Amanda. The doctor tells Bree she needs to finally tell her family the truth. She is staged for cancer. Bree goes home and tells her husband, Logan. He cries and hugs her. Later, she gets ready to tell her son, Junior. Logan is too upset to stay, so he leaves the room. Bree comforts Junior, promising that she will always be his mom and they will fight the sickness together. Jake secretly listens from the hallway, and hearing Bree's sad secret breaks his heart. Somewhere else, Tiffany is packing her bags. Chucky, still controlling Nika's body, walks over and playfully puts a foot on her bag. Annoyed, Tiffany grabs a knife and stabs his foot. The bad pain makes Nika wake up and get control of her body again. Trying to hide this, Nika pretends she is still Chucky and sits down to play cards with Tiffany. While playing, Tiffany talks about old memories on purpose to see if Nika knows about them. When Nika doesn't know what to say, Tiffany smiles. She admits she always knows when Nika is in control. She then shocks Nika by saying she actually likes having both Chucky and Nika trapped in the same body. Before Nika can do anything, Tiffany hits her on the head with a frying pan and knocks her out. Jake and Devin look online and find a phone number for Andy Barkley. Devin learns that Chucky killed Andy's babysitter years ago. Since then, Andy has spent his whole life hunting down good guy dolls. The boys call him, and Andy warns them that Chucky will definitely come after them. He tells them to be ready and promises he is already on his way to Hackensack to help. At the same time, Bree goes to her therapist's office while Junior waits in the car. Before going inside, she tells Junior she loves him very much. During the visit, Bree says she wants to stop her cancer treatments. She wants to enjoy the time she has left instead of feeling sick from the medicine. After the visit, Bree stands near a large glass window looking down at the street. Suddenly, Chucky sneaks up and pushes her through the glass. She falls and crashes onto a car right in front of Junior. The police say she killed herself. Dr. Amanda tells the sad family that Bree wanted to end things on her own terms, but Logan acts very cold. He calls his dead wife a quitter who gave up instead of fighting. The doctor tells them to get help if they need it and leaves. When Logan walks away, Jake tells Junior he doesn't believe Bree killed herself. Junior gets angry and blames Jake. He says all this death only started when Jake moved in. Later, Devin is looking up ways to beat Chucky when his mom, Detective Kim, walks in. She kindly asks if he has a crush on Jake. Devin is shy but nods yes. Kim smiles and says she supports him no matter what. After she leaves, Devin watches a video about ghost hunters using metal string to trap spirits. This gives him an idea. That night, Jake, Lexi, and Devin set a trap. They stretch metal string across the doors and windows to lock Chucky inside the house. While they look for the doll, the power goes out. Lexi is by herself upstairs when she feels someone watching her. She turns around and sees Chucky smiling. He tells her he has waited a long time for this. Before he attacks, Chucky offers her a deal. He will let her live if she kills Jake. Hearing Jake walking nearby, Lexi pretends to think about the deal to distract Chucky. Jake suddenly jumps at the doll, but Chucky is too fast. He cuts Jake's leg with a knife and runs downstairs. Devin chases him. Right then, Detective Kim comes home and hurries inside. As she runs up the stairs to check on Devin, Chucky pushes her backward. She falls, breaks her neck, and dies instantly. Devin freezes in fear, staring at his mom's dead body at the bottom of the stairs. Later, at Detective Kim's funeral, Jake and Lexi try to comfort Devin. Lexi's mom, Mayor Michelle, quickly says sorry to Devin, but then she rudely says she has a city meeting and leaves early. Lexi and her dad are shocked she cares so little. Devin tells his friends he is moving away to live with his aunt. Jake wonders why Chucky is only killing parents and what his real plan is. They realize Chucky tricked Kim into coming home by pretending Devin was in danger. Devin is too sad to keep fighting. Jake warns him that Chucky will just kill them one by one, but Devin is too depressed to care. Lexi also gives up, saying her parents grounded her. Then, Junior shows up and yells at Jake, blaming him again for everything bad happening in town. When Lexi defends Jake, Junior punches Jake in the face and walks away. Logan steps in to check on Jake. Out of nowhere, a fancy car drives up and actress Jennifer Tilly gets out. She walks right up to Logan, hugs him, says sorry for his wife's death, and then suddenly kisses him on the lips. Logan is completely shocked. Watching from far away, Junior thinks this means his dad was cheating on his mom. A quick flashback shows a young Charles Lee Ray and Tiffany arriving at a new house after stealing a car and killing the driver. In the present, Jake visits Devin to ask what he is going to do next. Devin says he can't stay with his aunt for long. In a week, he will be put in foster care. Jake begs him not to go. He admits he thought about running away but didn't want to leave Devin. Devin breaks Jake's heart by saying they can't date anymore. He says looking at Jake just reminds him of his dead mom. Jake leaves crying. Meanwhile, Mayor Michelle holds a town meeting. She tells everyone that a suspect has been arrested for the murders and the town is safe again. To help everyone feel better, she announces a charity event where they will watch a horror movie. The money they raise will go to the children's hospital. A special celebrity guest will also hand out free good guy dolls to the kids. During the event, someone asks little Caroline if she wants to be the mayor like her mom when she grows up. Caroline creepily says Chucky told her to kill her mom. Shocked, Michelle quickly takes her daughter inside. Back at their house, Logan is sitting by the fire. Junior angrily asks him about the woman who kissed him. Logan swears he has no idea why she did that. He then yells at Junior for hitting Jake, saying fighting could ruin his track career. Junior storms up to his bedroom, where Chucky is waiting. The doll comes alive and starts messing with Junior's head, telling him to kill his dad. Chucky lies, saying Logan only cares about sports and was definitely cheating on Bree. Chucky promises that killing Logan will make Junior free and get payback for his mom. Chucky also calls Jake a coward for refusing to kill and says Junior is much stronger. A flashback to 1988 shows Charles killing someone in a house. Tiffany walks in and is very angry, thinking he is cheating on her. She complains that they never kill people together anymore. Charles doesn't care. He just puts on his jacket and walks out while she yells. Back in the present, Devin does his own research online. He finds the address of Charles Lee Ray's old childhood home and bravely decides to go look at it by himself. Soon after, Tiffany knocks on Junior's door. Junior says his dad isn't home and asks who she is. Pretending to be shocked, Tiffany says she can't believe Logan didn't tell him about their secret romance. She lies and says she is going to move in with them soon. She hands Junior some food, winks, and tells him to keep her visit a secret before she drives away. On the road, Andy and Kyle are driving. Andy guesses there is probably only one Chucky doll left to kill, unless Chucky made copies. But the real problem is that a piece of Chucky's soul is stuck inside a real person. Andy tells Kyle she shouldn't risk her life anymore because this is his fight. Kyle refuses to quit, saying they will finish it together. When it starts raining, they stop at a gas station. Kyle gets out to pump gas. While she isn't looking, Andy jumps into the driver's seat and speeds off without her. He yells sorry out the window, saying he is leaving her behind to keep her safe. Meanwhile, Tiffany knocks Nika out with a pan again. She throws Nika in her car trunk, drives to Charles's old childhood home, ties her up inside, and leaves. Devin soon gets to that same house looking for Chucky. While looking around the dark rooms, he finds Nika tied up. She begs him to untie her, saying someone will kill her if she doesn't escape. Devin unties her, but the second the ropes are off, Chucky takes over Nika's body again. Chucky easily overpowers Devin and ties him to a chair. When Devin wakes up, he is terrified. He sees Chucky in Nika's body, holding a knife and standing in front of a whole room full of living good guy dolls. Across town, Jake sees a delivery driver holding a good guy doll box. Jake asks where the package is going. The driver says no at first, but after Jake gives him some money, he says it's going to Sherwood Lane. Lexi meets up with Jake and asks how Devin is doing. Jake sadly says Devin doesn't want to see him. Lexi tells Jake not to give up on his friends. She also says sorry for pulling away from them lately. At the same time, Lexi's parents, Nathan and Michelle, are on a date trying to fix their marriage. Jake tells Lexi he feels very guilty because all these deaths started when he bought the doll. Lexi and Jake look up the Sherwood Lane address and realize it is Charles Lee Ray's old house. Jake panics, knowing Devin is probably trapped there. Still, they don't understand why Chucky wants regular kids to kill people instead of doing it himself. Later, Logan comes home very drunk. He hears Junior talking in his bedroom. Inside, Chucky tells Junior his dad is drunk again. Logan walks in and wants to talk. Suddenly, the doll speaks. Annoyed, Logan tells Junior to turn the toy off, but Chucky keeps insulting Logan, calling him a sad drunk just like his dead brother, Lucas. Logan tells him to stop. Chucky then says Logan is the real reason Bree killed herself. Logan talks back, saying Bree was just a quitter. Hearing this, Junior loses his temper and punches his dad. Logan is shocked and says Bree would be ashamed of him. Completely under Chucky's control, Junior punches his dad again and knocks him to the floor. Junior grabs the heavy Chucky doll and hits Logan in the head with it over and over. Chucky laughs and cheers him on. Junior doesn't stop hitting him until Logan is dead. Tired, Junior sits down. Smiling, Chucky says it was very hard to finally get a good kid to murder someone. Junior starts singing a creepy song and Chucky happily sings along. Just then, Andy arrives at at Junior's house looking for the doll. He knocks on the door. Peeking out the window, Chucky sees his old enemy and tells Junior that Andy is a loser. Junior answers the door. Andy lies and says he is a friend of Jake's who came to buy an old Chucky doll. Junior coldly says Jake never said anything about selling toys. When Andy asks about his parents, Junior casually says his mom killed herself and his dad is inside. Andy invites himself in and follows the boy to his bedroom, but Logan's dead body is gone. Junior acts confused, saying his dad must have left with his new girlfriend. Not believing him, Andy searches the bedroom, checking the closet and the bathtub, but finds nothing. Andy leaves a phone message for Jake and walks out. Once he is gone, Chucky pops out from inside the toilet. He is smiling because he knew Andy wouldn't check there. Meanwhile, Jake and Lexi are still trying to figure out Chucky's big plan. Lexi suddenly asks where the doll Jake brought home earlier is. Jake says he left it in the kitchen. When they turn around, the doll is standing right behind them with a knife. Before it can attack, Kyle kicks the door open and shoots the doll with her gun. Kyle says she is Andy's friend. Jake and Lexi explain that Devin is trapped and ask how many dolls are out there. Kyle sighs and says there is a whole army of them, and killing them all will take a lot of work. Chucky brings Junior to Charles Lee Ray's old house. Inside, Tiffany is getting ready to give Nika a shot. The doll Chucky walks in. He is very angry because he felt part of his soul die when Kyle shot the other doll. He attacks Tiffany, reminding her of all the times he has killed her before. Tiffany begs him to stop, saying he needs her for his plan. Just then, Nika's body switches back to Chucky. Human Chucky tells the doll to stop. Doll Chucky says hello to his human self and asks where the army is. Human Chucky smiles and points to a huge room filled with dozens of living good guy dolls. Doll Chucky is so happy his plan finally worked. He tells his helpers to load all the dolls onto a truck. He introduces Junior to the group and tells him to kill the tied-up Devin. Junior stops and asks if he really has to. Chucky completely ignores Tiffany and only talks to himself. Feeling left out, Tiffany complains about how he treats her. Suddenly, Nika falls to the floor as she fights for control again. Annoyed that Nika is still fighting back, Chucky tells Tiffany to kill her. Tiffany says no. She admits she likes having Nika around. Chucky doesn't care, saying there are plenty of other Chuckies out there. When Tiffany still says no, Chucky tells Junior to kill Nika instead. Tired of him bossing her around, Tiffany suddenly attacks the doll Chucky and cuts his head off. She screams that she is sick of his bad attitude. She then admits a huge secret. Years ago in Chicago, she was the one who called the cops on him, which is how he originally died. Tiffany gives Junior some rope to tie Nika up. She warns Junior that Chucky never actually cared about him. She and Junior leave the house with one of the dolls. Before leaving, Tiffany sets a bomb at the front door. Inside, Chucky's chopped off head tells his headless body to go kill Devin. As the body stumbles forward, Andy breaks in through a back door and destroys it. Out front, Kyle walks up to the house and yells for Andy. Knowing the door has a bomb, Andy screams for her to stop, but Kyle opens the door and the whole house blows up. Earlier, Kyle had secretly put sleeping medicine in Jake and Lexi's drinks to keep them safe at home. When they wake up the next morning, Lexi checks her phone and gasps. The news shows a huge explosion at the house. Jake realizes Devin was inside and they both panic, thinking their friend died in the fire. Lexi hugs Jake to comfort him. Heartbroken, Jake goes to Devin's house. To his surprise, Devin walks through the door. Jake hugs him, so happy he is alive. Devin explains he got out in time, but Andy and Kyle were caught in the blast. Devin also shares scary news. Junior killed his own dad and is now helping Chucky. Devin explains that when Chucky gets an innocent person to kill, it lets his soul split so he can build an army. Meanwhile, Mayor Michelle starts the charity movie event. She calls actress Jennifer Tilly to the stage. Jennifer is holding a good guy doll. Little Caroline wants the toy, so Jennifer gives it to her. Michelle announces they are giving 72 dolls to the sick children at the hospital. A huge truck full of toys is parked outside. Later that night, inside the movie theater, Junior finds Lexi and pulls her aside. He tries to talk her into joining him and becoming a killer. When she says no, Chucky tells Junior to kill her. Lexi begs Junior not to listen. Junior says Chucky taught him how to be a strong man. Lexi reminds Junior that he is a good, loving person, not a monster. Chucky yells at Junior to attack. Junior finally makes a choice and stabs Chucky in the chest instead. But the evil doll stabs Junior right back. Junior falls and Lexi catches him, crying and begging him not to die. With his last breath, Junior says he is sorry for everything and dies. Inside the theater, Chucky sits next to Caroline and whispers that he is is going to start killing people. Nathan sits next to Michelle. Hiding under the seats, Chucky stabs Nathan to death. Blood drips from Nathan into Michelle's popcorn bucket. She eats some, tastes the blood, and screams when she sees her dead husband. People panic and run for their lives. Chucky starts stabbing anyone he can reach. Jake runs in to fight Chucky. Chucky makes fun of Jake, saying no one will ever believe a doll did this. He brags that people will remember him as a genius and his town will be famous for starting his army. Chucky pins Jake down, calling him weak and making fun of him for being gay. Very angry, Jake fights back with all his strength. He chokes Chucky until the doll's eyes pop out. Lexi runs in crying and tells them Junior is dead. Outside, Tiffany yells at the truck driver to hurry up. But before she can get in, Andy steals the truck and drives away with all the dolls. Tiffany screams in anger. Jake, Lexi, and Devin watch Andy drive off. But inside the truck, a Tiffany doll suddenly pops up from the back. She points a gun at Andy and tells him to drive where she wants. The next day, Jake, Lexi, and Devin visit the graves of the people who died. They talk about whether they should tell Ms. Fairchild the truth. The teacher is standing quietly behind them, hearing everything. In the end, they decide to keep it a secret. Meanwhile, Tiffany does something terrible to make sure Chucky can never run away with Nika's body again. She cuts off Nika's arms and legs. When Nika wakes up and sees what happened, she screams in terror. The show ends with Chucky sitting by a fire, talking about all his murders and claiming that every single person deserved to die. And with that, Season 1 ends here. Season 2 starts exactly where the first season ended. Andy is held at gunpoint by a Tiffany doll inside a truck full of good guy dolls he just hijacked. Every doll in the truck has a piece of Chucky's soul and wants to kill people. The Tiffany doll forces Andy to drive to an airport so the dolls can be shipped out to children's hospitals all over the country. Luckily, Andy distracts Tiffany, grabs her gun, and shoots her head off. Soon after, the army of Chucky dolls climbs out of their boxes to attack him. To destroy all the dolls, Andy sacrifices himself by driving the truck off a cliff. The story then jumps to Jake moving in with a new foster family 2 hours away from Hackensack. He visits Devin's house to say goodbye. 6 months later, it is Halloween night and Jake is dressed as Batman. A little girl dressed as a clown rings the doorbell. Her makeup startles Jake for a second, but he gives her candy and shuts the door. Jake then talks to his new foster brother, Gary, who is dressed as Robin. Devin calls Jake to ask if he is coming over, but Jake's new foster parents won't let him take the bus. Suddenly, Jake gets a call from an unknown number. The voice sounds exactly like Chucky. Devin gets the same call. While they try to figure out who is calling, the person starts a video call with them. In the video, they see a doll dressed as a ghost standing outside Lexi's house. Since it's Halloween, Lexi's younger sister Caroline opens the door and lets the doll inside. The video call suddenly drops right as the doll gets to Lexi's bedroom door. Panicking, Devin calls the police. After the cops arrive and check Lexi's room, Caroline admits she let the ghost in to use the bathroom. Both girls realize the ghost was probably Chucky. Scared, Lexi asks the police to stay at the house until their mom gets home. Later, Lexi, Caroline, and their mom go to family therapy with Dr. Mixter. The therapist says that all the murders from last year were done by a boy named Junior Wheeler. Caroline knows Chucky really did it and begs Lexi to tell the truth. But Lexi lies and says Chucky is just a normal toy. Because of everything that happened, Caroline is now deeply afraid of dolls. Dr. Mixter gives her a new doll named Belle to carry around, thinking it will help her get over her fear. The next day, Lexi's family does a news interview because her mom is running for mayor again. The reporter asks Caroline if the Belle doll tells her to kill her mom like Chucky did. Lexi's mom gets very angry and kicks the reporter out of the house. That night in Caroline's room, Lexi throws Belle onto the floor to prove it is just a regular doll. Even so, she warns Caroline never to trust any doll, gives her a big knife to keep her safe while sleeping, and leaves the room. Meanwhile, Jake sneaks out to see Devin. They look at a picture of the Belle doll that Lexi sent them. They notice Belle looks a lot like the Tiffany doll. Worried that Lexi is in danger, Jake and Devin rush to her house and climb through her window. Lexi promises them that Belle is harmless. But when they check Caroline's room, Belle is missing from her chair and is now in bed next to Caroline. Hearing her mom walking down the hall, Lexi quickly hides the boys in her closet and acts like she was just talking to herself. The next morning, Caroline tells Lexi that Belle is fine and not like Chucky at all. Lexi tells Jake and Devin that the Halloween scare was probably just a joke. Since they became famous after last year's murders, someone might just be messing with them. Suddenly looking panicked, Lexi rushes to the bathroom. It becomes clear she has a drug problem as she starts crushing up pills to take. The doorbell rings and Caroline answers it. She finds Jake's foster brother, Gary, standing there. He is holding a Chucky doll and the doll has a bomb. When Jake and Devin walk downstairs, Chucky is sitting on the couch and forces everyone to sit down. Chucky says they fell into his trap. He wanted all three friends in one place so he could kill them together, but he is waiting for Lexi to come down before blowing up the bomb. Lexi leaves the bathroom and walks downstairs looking very high. When she and Chucky look at each other, Chucky gets distracted. Devin uses this chance to shock Chucky in the face with a taser, making him drop the bomb. Gary picks up the bomb and runs to the kitchen. However, Chucky chases Gary and sets off the bomb, killing the young boy. Jake, Devin, and Lexi are blamed for Gary's death. Because Dr. Mixter suggests it, the three teens are sent to a strict Catholic boarding school for bad kids to think about what they did. On the bus ride there, Devin guesses that a lot of Chucky dolls must have survived the truck crash. They all agree Chucky will keep hunting them. When the bus gets to the school, they find out the building is actually the childhood home of Charles Lee Ray, the human Chucky. Shortly after, a delivery van drops off a package that is the exact size of a Good Guy doll box. In another part of the story, the actress Jennifer Tilly wakes up in her bedroom. Her body is currently taken over by the soul of Tiffany Valentine. Tiffany finds the bloody, cut-off head of a Tiffany doll in her bed. She is shocked and right away thinks Chucky did it. She makes breakfast and goes to check on Nika Pierce, who she has kept locked up as a hostage for over a year. Tiffany has cut off all of Nika's arms and legs. Also, a piece of Chucky's soul is still stuck inside Nika's body. Tiffany gets Chucky to come out by showing Nika blood. She asks him about the cut-off doll head. Chucky just laughs and threatens that Tiffany is his next target. Back at the Catholic school, Sister Ruth gives Jake, Devin, and Lexi a tour. They are then introduced to Father Bryce. Father Bryce doesn't believe their stories about a killer doll and tells them to find faith in God instead. He then takes them to their rooms. After the teens leave, Sister Ruth opens a donated Good Guy doll and shows it to Sister Elizabeth. Sister Catherine, who seems nicer than the other nuns, takes Lexi to her bedroom. Inside, Lexi meets her new roommate, Nadine. Nadine really wants to be friends, but Lexi is mean to her and says she doesn't need any more friends. At the same time, Father Bryce shows Jake and Devin to their shared room. He warns them to behave and then leaves. Once alone, Jake starts crying, feeling terrible about Gary's death. Devin comforts him, promising Jake it wasn't his fault. Later on, Lexi runs into Trevor. Trevor is a boy who used to bully her, and Lexi's mom had him sent to the school. Lexi tries to make fun of him in front of the other kids, but she is surprised to see that Trevor has changed and is really sorry for what he did in the past. Somewhere else in the school, Sister Elizabeth is alone with the donated doll. Chucky suddenly comes alive and scares her so badly that she has a heart attack and dies. Chucky then takes a picture of her dead body with his phone. Later, Father Bryce tells the students that Sister Elizabeth suddenly died. Jake, Devin, and Lexi see Chucky sitting in an office and know right away the doll killed her. While the students are sent back to class, Lexi says they need to escape the school to survive. Devin disagrees, saying they have nowhere else to go. Father Bryce walks up to the three friends. He says he knows about their bad past with dolls, promises them the good guy is just a normal toy, and sends them to study hall. At Tiffany's huge house, she and Nika are watching an old Jennifer Tilly movie. For the past year, Nika has been forced to watch movie after movie, while watching Tiffany waste $100 million of Jennifer Tilly's money. Tiffany doesn't care about the money at all. She is busy planning a birthday party for her twins, Glenn and Glenda, who are coming to visit soon. A sudden knock at the door scares her. She puts a gag in Nika's mouth to keep her quiet and opens the door to find a detective. The detective asks questions about Jennifer's connection to the missing Nika Pierce. The police want to talk to Nika about a mass murder at a mental hospital. Tiffany lies, says she has no idea where Nika is, and shuts the door. Back at the school, Jake gets a pass to use the bathroom, but he sneaks into the office where Chucky is kept instead. He grabs the doll and gets ready to stab it, but Father Bryce walks in and catches him. The priest hands Jake a Bible, tells him to think about his actions, and locks Jake inside the room with the doll. Even though Chucky has a perfect chance to kill Jake in the locked room, the doll just takes Jake's picture and escapes up the chimney. Father Bryce comes back later to yell at Jake about making good choices and notices the doll is missing. Jake lies, saying he doesn't know where it went, and leaves. Jake meets back up with Devin and Lexi and tells them Chucky only took his picture instead of attacking. They agree they need to figure out Chucky's plan before it's too late. That night, Lexi and Nadine talk about why they were sent to the school. Nadine says she is there for stealing. Before going to bed, Lexi lies about sleepwalking and asks Nadine to block the door with a dresser. Lexi doesn't know Chucky is hiding under her bed. While Lexi is secretly taking pills, Chucky comes out, takes her picture, and tries to move the dresser to leave. Lexi sees the doll and screams. Nadine wakes up, sees Chucky, and starts screaming too. Chucky pushes the the door open and runs away. Lexi begs Nadine not to tell anyone what they saw. When the nuns, priests, and students rush in to see what happened, Lexi secretly signals to Devin and Jake that Chucky went toward the bathroom. She covers up the noise by telling Father Bryce she had a nightmare about not having her own private bathroom anymore. Jake and Devin search the shared bathroom. Chucky jumps out and attacks Jake from behind, but Devin steps in and uses a big knife to beat the doll. Jake looks at the pictures on Chucky's phone and tells Devin he has an idea about what the doll is doing. The next morning, Lexi officially lets Nadine join their friend group and tells her the truth about Chucky. The boys lead Lexi and Nadine to a hidden room where Chucky is tied to a chair. Jake guesses that this specific Chucky doll is acting as a spy to gather information by taking pictures. They figure out that the different dolls might have different jobs, so they decide to keep this one tied up to learn more about his big plan. During lunch, Father Bryce calls Jake into his office and asks him about the missing doll again. Jake sticks to his lie and says he doesn't know anything. After pushing Jake to tell the truth, the priest lets him leave. Jake goes back to the secret room where Chucky is still tied up. Lexi, Devin, and Nadine are standing guard. Lexi points out that the phone only has one saved contact, named the Colonel. The group hasn't been able to get any answers from the doll. Jake threatens Chucky with a large knife, but the doll stays quiet. Devin fakes being sick so he can stay behind and guard Chucky, but he worries their plan won't work and will only get more people killed. Later, Trevor catches Lexi secretly taking stolen pills. He tells her that her mom lost the election for mayor. He also warns her that if the school staff finds out about her drug problem, they will lock her up there until she is 18. Back at the big house, Tiffany finishes getting ready for Glenn and Glenda to arrive. The doorbell rings, making her super excited. She quickly gags Nika again and locks her in a room so no one can see her. But when Tiffany opens the door, she is shocked to see the same detective coming back to ask more questions. Inside the locked room, the piece of Chucky's soul and Nika talk to each other in their minds. They realize they both want the same thing, to kill Tiffany. By the front door, Tiffany tricks the detective into coming inside and quickly cuts his throat. While the detective bleeds to death on the floor, the twins finally arrive at the house. Tiffany drags the dead body into a closet and scrubs the bloody floor as fast as she can, right as the front door opens and her kids walk in. At the Catholic school, the tied-up Chucky starts messing with Devin's mind. The doll makes fun of Devin about his mom's murder, pushing Devin so far that he almost kills Chucky. Jake arrives just in time to pull Devin away. The teenagers come up with a new plan. They try to brainwash Chucky by forcing him to watch a fast mix of violent videos and cute kids' cartoons. They hope this will make him feel sick whenever he thinks about violence. After hours of watching the videos, the plan actually works. Chucky's personality changes completely, making him polite and nice. But the brainwashing also erased his memory, so he can't remember anything about his evil plans. Devin wants to kill the tied-up doll, but Jake says no. Everyone leaves the room, and Jake asks Nadine to stay and watch Chucky. After that, Lexi sneaks into the nurse's office to steal drugs. Her plan fails when Sister Ruth, who is also the school nurse, walks in. Meanwhile, another good guy doll is delivered to the school. Father Bryce decides to punish Devin because Jake stole the doll earlier. He makes Devin clean religious items in the church chapel. Jake visits Devin in the chapel. Devin warns him that keeping Chucky alive will only bring them more trouble, but Jake promises to fix things. Elsewhere, Lexi starts going through withdrawals after dropping her last pill down the sink. She feels better after talking with Nadine. They have a deep talk about Lexi's drug problem and the heavy pressure her family puts on her. Later, Father O'Malley is choked to death with his own prayer beads. Chucky kills him while the priest is listening to Nadine's confession in a private booth. When Nadine goes back to her room, she is shocked to see that the tied-up Chucky is gone. Father Bryce walks into his office and finds Chucky sitting on his desk. Glad the missing doll is back, the priest lets Devin stop his punishment early. Later, Trevor sneaks into Lexi and Nadine's room. He tries to frame Lexi by hiding a bag of drugs in her desk, but a newly arrived Chucky doll shows up and kills him. Lexi and Nadine come back and are horrified to find Trevor's dead body. They quickly get the boys to help them hide the body just before Sister Ruth comes in for a room check. The friends wrongly think their brainwashed good Chucky killed Trevor. Meanwhile, good Chucky is actually sitting quietly in Father Bryce's office. The door suddenly opens and a super muscular good guy doll walks in. This new doll is there to kill Jake, Devin, and Lexi. Good Chucky and the buff Chucky face off in the office. Good Chucky wants to protect the teens. Jake and Devin watch the two dolls fight through the keyhole of the locked door. Devin hopes they kill each other, but Jake has started to care about good Chucky. Good Chucky finally wins the fight by stabbing the buff Chucky to the wall with several knives, making it look like he is dead. After the fight, Jake and Devin unlock the door and go inside. They get into a huge argument. Devin tells Jake that no matter how hard he tries to make things right, his brother Gary is never coming back. Jake takes good Chucky away to clean his cuts. Meanwhile, Devin starts pulling the knives out of the buff Chucky to take him down from the wall. Father Bryce walks in right then. Seeing Devin holding knives to the wall, the priest thinks Devin is doing something evil and disrespectful to God. Father Bryce calls Dr. Mixter to the school and tells her he plans to kick Devin out. Dr. Mixter disagrees, saying she can still help Devin change his life. Sister Ruth and Sister Catherine are also in the room for this meeting. Following Father Bryce's orders, Sister Ruth throws the buff Chucky's body into the trash. Meanwhile, at Jennifer Tilly's huge house, the twins arrive to see their mom. They ask if she knows a woman named Nika Pierce. This really shocks Tiffany. She lies and says Nika is a crazy stalker, which is why she put in a big security system. Soon, Glenn finds the locked door hiding Nika and realizes Tiffany hired a butler just to guard that room. Later, the twins throw a surprise party for Tiffany. They invite real-life actors like Gina Gershon, Joe Pantoliano, and Sutton Straight. The friends wonder why Jennifer hasn't left her house in over a year. Jennifer's sister, Meg, also comes to the party. Meg says her sister has been acting weird ever since she filmed a Chucky movie years ago. Later that night, Tiffany checks her phone and sees a security alarm. The power goes out, the butler is killed, and the door to Nika's room is left wide open. When the guests gather around the dead butler, Tiffany pretends it is just a murder mystery party game. She tells everyone the butler is the first victim and the guests are the suspects. We soon find out that Glenn was the one trying to free Nika. A flashback shows that 3 months earlier, the twins snuck into the room and found Nika tied to a wheelchair. Nika told them their mom cut off her arms and legs. Knowing the truth, Glenn and Glenda promise to help Nika escape. Back in the present, Glenn pushes Nika toward the door. The elevator opens and shows Joe's dead body. Seeing blood makes the Chucky part inside Nika take over. Glenda knocks Glenn out and pushes Nika into the middle of the party. Using a robotic arm, Chucky points a gun right at Tiffany and pulls the trigger, but there are no bullets. Tiffany slaps Nika, which helps Nika get control of her body back. Nika rolls her wheelchair out of the house and barely makes it past the closing security gates. A white van with a ramp pulls up, driven by Kyle. Glenda jumps over the gate and gets into the van with Nika and Kyle, while Glenn stays behind with Tiffany. Turns out Glenda poisoned the butler, Sutton accidentally shot Joe, and Gina took the bullets out of the gun because she was jealous. The next morning, Glenn is still having bad dreams about a murder from their past. Tiffany is super angry that her own kid helped Nika escape. We also find out that Tiffany kept the soul of the real Jennifer Tilly trapped inside a Tiffany Valentine doll. She forces the doll version of Jennifer to sign checks and keep acting so they still get money. Tiffany tries to ask Jennifer questions, but Jennifer tricks her. Meanwhile, Meg gets even more suspicious of how her sister is acting. Glenn and Meg finally find the living Jennifer Tilly doll. To keep her secret safe, Tiffany suddenly stabs Meg to death right in front of Glenn. Later, Tiffany says sorry to Glenn for lying. She says she only did bad things to give her kids a good life. Tiffany gives Glenn the original Glenn/Glenda doll from when they were little. After that, Tiffany and Glenn set the big house on fire and drive away, taking the Jennifer doll with them. Back at the school, Lexi and Nadine go into their room and see Trevor's body is gone. Jake, Devin, and good Chucky are waiting for them. Devin looks through Chucky's phone, hoping to find clues about a contact named the Colonel. Devin is mad and blames good Chucky for Trevor's death and everything else going wrong. But Jake stands up for the doll, saying he is innocent. Feeling bad, good Chucky hides in the bathroom. Jake follows to cheer him up, promising the doll is truly good and couldn't hurt anyone. Meanwhile, Devin and Lexi look at the pictures on the phone. They realize the spy Chucky left a trail of photos leading back to his hideout. They decide to sneak out and follow the trail to see where it goes. Somewhere else, Sister Ruth is working in her room when the buff Chucky suddenly comes back to life. Because she is losing her mind, Sister Ruth thinks the living doll is Jesus Christ coming back to Earth. She promises to serve and follow him. Following the picture trail into the woods, Devin and Lexi find a cabin in the middle of nowhere. Looking inside, they see Dr. Mixter and Andy Barkley. Andy survived the truck crash but is in very bad shape. He is tied up and being tortured by a bald Chucky doll, who is called the Colonel. A flashback shows that after Andy drove the truck off the cliff, he lived through the crash. The Colonel told 2 other dolls to pull Andy out before the truck blew up. Back in the present, Lexi and Devin watch in horror as the Colonel cuts off pieces of Andy's leg to eat. We find out that Dr. Mixter is actually helping Chucky. She was the human Chucky's therapist when he was a little little boy. She tells the Colonel that Tiffany let Chucky Prime, the main piece of Chucky's soul stuck inside Nika, escape. Dr. Mixter wants to kill Devin, Lexi, and Jake herself, but the Colonel orders her to take him to the Catholic school instead. Dr. Mixter agrees and leaves with the Colonel. Once the cabin is empty, Devin and Lexi break in and save Andy. The next morning at the school, Sister Ruth keeps praying to the buff Chucky. Dr. Mixter shows up with the Colonel, and they find out the buff doll is still alive. Because of the recent murders, Father Bryce locks down the school and makes the students stay in their rooms. While walking in the hallway, Jake runs into Dr. Mixter holding the bald Colonel doll. Jake tries to grab it, but Father Bryce steps in and orders Jake back to his room. The priest asks Dr. Mixter why she is carrying a toy. She lies, saying she uses the doll to help patients talk about their trauma. Father Bryce still has no idea the doll is alive or that Dr. Mixter is evil. Devin and Lexi sneak Andy into the school to clean his wounds. They run into Father Bryce, so Andy pretends to be a homeless man looking for a place to sleep. They ask Sister Catherine to bandage him up. Father Bryce doesn't want a stranger staying there, but Sister Catherine talks him into it. Soon after, Devin and Lexi run into Dr. Mixter. She threatens them, saying the Colonel will kill them soon. She also makes fun of them because no one will ever believe their story. Elsewhere, Glenda wakes up from a nightmare and texts Glenn. They find out they both had the exact same bad dream. Glenn shows Glenda the doll Tiffany gave them. Meanwhile, Nika, Kyle, and Glenda have a meeting. Kyle forces the Chucky part out of Nika and offers him a deal. She will help him and Glenda escape to New Jersey if he tells them where Andy is. Chucky just laughs at Kyle, steals her gun, and tells Glenda to shoot her. Glenda says no. Kyle punches Nika's body, which forces Chucky to go away and brings Nika back to normal. They watch the news about the fire at Jennifer Tilly's house. They realize the police are now looking for Glenn, Glenda, and Nika. Back at the school, Jake tries to make things right with Devin. He says they should use the school to their advantage and wait for the Colonel to come to them. In another room, Sister Catherine bandages Andy's leg. When she steps out, Andy secretly puts a pair of scissors in his pocket. Sister Ruth brings the buff Chucky to Father Bryce, trying to make the priest believe the doll is Jesus. Father Bryce gets very worried about her mental health and yells at her. Later, the buff Chucky and the Colonel meet in the library. Before they can fight, the Colonel says he secretly poisoned the buff doll. The buff Chucky dies from the poison before he can even attack. Jake, Devin, Lexi, Nadine, and good Chucky group up in a bedroom to wait for the Colonel. The bald doll opens the door, but before he can attack the kids, Andy suddenly shows up behind him and stabs the Colonel through the head with the scissors. After killing the Colonel, Andy is shocked to see good Chucky standing peacefully next to the teens. Sister Ruth finds the dead buff Chucky. Heartbroken over losing her god, she promises to get revenge. Dr. Mixter watches the dead doll from far away. Her phone rings. It is Chucky Prime. He says that he, Kyle, Nika, and Glenda will get to the school by midnight. Dr. Mixter warns him that there is only one living Chucky doll left. In the bedroom, Andy tries to kill good Chucky, but Jake and the others hold him back. Dr. Mixter suddenly walks in with a gun, taking the group hostage. She kidnaps good Chucky because she wants to take his soul. She explains that she was fascinated by how crazy the human Chucky was when he was her patient, and she wants to bring his evil side back. As she runs away with the doll, she runs into Father Bryce and Sister Catherine. Dr. Mixter shoots the nun in the arm. Father Bryce finally sees that the doll is alive. Andy tackles Dr. Mixter from behind, and they both fall down the stairs. Good Chucky gets away from the fight and runs to the top of the school's bell tower. Nadine follows him to make sure he is safe. Good Chucky is freaking out, thinking he is too evil to be loved. Nadine comforts him, promising he is a good person. But as she gets closer, good Chucky's violent side takes over for a second, and he pushes Nadine out of the tower window. She falls to the ground and dies instantly. Lexi cries over her friend's body. Jake and Devin get to the top of the tower just as good Chucky snaps out of it, feeling terrible about what he did. Jake carries the doll downstairs. Dr. Mixter traps them with a gun and demands good Chucky. Luckily, Kyle shows up with her own gun, leading to a standoff. Seeing she is outnumbered, Dr. Mixter offers a deal. They all agree to this plan. Father Bryce will do an exorcism to destroy the good Chucky personality. Nika will move the main Chucky soul from her body into the empty doll, and Dr. Mixter gets to leave safely with the newly possessed doll. The next morning, fans recognize Tiffany at a diner, and she has to run away. She decides she needs to put her soul back into the original Tiffany doll and give the human body back to the real Jennifer Tilly. Back at the school, Lexi doesn't believe Jake and Devin anymore when they say things will get better. She says trauma and death are the only things keeping their friend group together. The adults get ready for the exorcism. To be safe, they tie good Chucky up, lock all the guns in a drawer, and throw the key away. Father Bryce agrees to do the ritual with help from Sister Catherine. Chucky says sorry to Jake, but when Jake leans in, Chucky headbutts him and laughs like an evil maniac. This proves to Jake that the good good Chucky personality is completely gone. Andy tapes Chucky's mouth shut and locks him in the library. Glenda sneaks into the library to talk to their dad, Chucky, wanting the truth about their past. Instead of answering, Chucky just tells Glenda to go get a large knife he hid behind the church organ years ago. Sick of being used, Glenda completely cuts ties with their killer parents. Meanwhile, Tiffany's car breaks down in a parking lot. The Jennifer Tilly doll takes her chance and runs out into the street. A passing truck runs over the doll, smashing it to pieces. Because the real Jennifer Tilly's soul was inside the doll, she is killed instantly. Tiffany is horrified and starts crying. Back at the school, the exorcism starts. Father Bryce splashes holy water on the doll. Chucky jumps up and bites Father Bryce's face. Since seeing blood makes Nika's Chucky side come out, the others quickly cover her eyes. The exorcism actually works, and Chucky's spirit is pushed out of the doll. However, the spirit right away takes over Father Bryce instead, making the priest's body explode in the middle of the church. Nika then says a voodoo chant, which works to push the main Chucky soul out of her body and into the empty doll. As soon as the doll comes alive, Jake grabs it and runs. He tries to drown the doll in holy water. Suddenly, Sister Ruth walks in pointing a gun at Lexi, forcing Jake to hand over the doll. Dr. Mixter grabs the doll and runs out. Right then, Glenda grabs Chucky's hidden knife and throws it right into Sister Ruth's eye, killing her. Andy picks up Sister Ruth's dropped gun and chases Dr. Mixter. He catches up and shoots the doll's jaw off. Dr. Mixter drops the doll and runs away. Andy shoots the doll in the chest until his gun is empty, making it look like Chucky is dead for good. Jake, Devin, and Lexi burn the doll's body, finally feeling relieved. Outside, Nika and Glenda share a smoke, and Nika thanks them for a second chance at life. Tiffany and Glenn pull up to the school in their car. As Glenn and Glenda hug, Nika pulls out a gun, wanting revenge on Tiffany. Tiffany begs for her life, but Nika pulls the trigger. Glenn jumps in front of the bullet to save their mom. Tiffany and Glenda drag a bleeding Glenn into the car and speed away. In the next scene, Dr. Mixter is shown driving away from the school. She starts laughing like crazy, and her laugh sounds exactly like Chucky's. We find out that during all the chaos in the church, Chucky used voodoo to swap souls with Dr. Mixter. This means Andy actually shot and killed Dr. Mixter, whose soul was stuck in the doll body, while Chucky got away in the therapist's human body. In his new body, Chucky drives to Dr. Mixter's office, opens a hidden safe, and pulls out a brand new good guy doll. 3 days before Christmas, Lexi goes to a support group meeting. With Jake in the crowd, she talks openly about her drug problem and admits her mom's pressure led to her bad choices. After everything that happened, the Catholic school has been shut down for good. Devin and Jake were given community service, while Lexi was ordered to go to rehab meetings. The three friends try to get back to a normal life. Since Jake and Devin have no parents, they stay at Lexi's house for the holidays. Lexi's mom, trying to fix her public image, films a live video of herself taking in 2 orphans for Christmas. Even though it is just for show, the family has a nice holiday dinner, and Lexi and her mom finally make up. Meanwhile, Glenda visits Glenn in the hospital. Glenda tells Tiffany that Glenn is doing worse. Desperate to save them, Glenda asks Tiffany to use her fame as Jennifer Tilly to sneak the Glenn/Glenda doll into the hospital. That way, they can save Glenn by moving their soul into the doll. Elsewhere, Chucky, who is now back in a doll body, uses Dr. Mixter's credit card to buy a chainsaw. At Lexi's house, her mom shows off Caroline's Belle doll to her followers in a Christmas video. At the hospital, Glenda spills a drink on the police officer guarding Glenn's room on purpose. Glenda brings a large suitcase inside, and Tiffany sneaks in dressed as a doctor. Glenda pulls the doll out of the suitcase right as the wet officer walks back into the room. Using their natural killer instincts, Glenda murders the officer using a pair of shock paddles. Because the officer's head is wet, the electricity sets his head on fire. The soul transfer spell works perfectly. Both Glenn and Glenda's souls are mixed back into the single doll body. Tiffany carries the doll out of the hospital. A nurse soon walks in and finds the burned police officer next to the empty human bodies of Glenn and Glenda. Later, Tiffany watches the video of Lexi's mom holding the Belle doll and gets very excited. She talks to the Glenn/Glenda doll, who now goes by the name Gigi. Tiffany tells Gigi she has found a new doll body to move into. Tiffany says goodbye as Gigi announces they plan to travel the world, starting with a trip to England. On Christmas Eve, while everyone is asleep, Chucky slides down the chimney into Lexi's house. At the exact same time, Tiffany breaks in to steal the Belle doll. Lexi's mom comes downstairs and is super excited to see the famous Jennifer Tilly in her living room. Without warning, Chucky attacks from behind and cuts Lexi's mom in half with his chainsaw. Chucky and Tiffany start arguing right away. Chucky says that after he finishes killing the teens, he will hunt down and kill Gigi too. Tiffany promises she she won't let him hurt any kids. While they argue, Lexi sneaks up and kicks Chucky. Seeing her mom's bloody body makes her furious. She grabs the dropped chainsaw, turns it on, and tears Chucky's face up with it. During all the noise, Tiffany runs upstairs to Caroline's room to grab the Belle doll. When she gets to the bed, Jake jumps out from under the blanket and stabs her. Devin walks into the room and stabs her from behind. Jake, Devin, and Lexi trap the bleeding Tiffany. But Jake refuses to kill her and says they should call the police instead. Before they can call, Caroline willingly walks over to Tiffany and acts like her hostage. Caroline coldly says that Tiffany is her real mother. Tiffany takes Caroline and drives away into the night. The next morning, the police surround the house. Miss Fairchild, the teen's old teacher, shows up. She tells Jake, Devin, and Lexi that she believes their stories about Chucky and offers to become their legal guardian. 3 weeks later, Tiffany and Caroline are staying in a hotel in Times Square. Tiffany has completely changed how she looks so no one recognizes her. She gets a phone call from Nika, who is staying in a room right across the street. Nika says sorry for accidentally shooting Glenn, but she promises to give Tiffany a slow, painful death. Tiffany doesn't care until Nika says she can see Tiffany through the window. Panicking, Tiffany quickly tries to put her soul into the Belle doll. She is shocked to find out the doll is already taken. The Belle doll stands up, wipes off its makeup, and reveals it is actually Chucky in disguise. Chucky says he has been hiding inside the Belle doll the whole time. He pulls out a large knife and walks toward Tiffany as she screams. If you like this recap, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps. Season 3 begins on a quiet night as a young boy named Henry hears scary whispers in his bedroom and hides in his closet. His mother, Charlotte, comes in to calm him down, but Henry is sure there are ghosts in the house. Henry bravely goes back to bed and asks his doll, Joseph, who is actually Chucky, to keep him safe. Henry is the only one who can talk to the doll. Charlotte just thinks he has a big imagination. After she leaves, Henry says goodnight and the doll talks back right away. Soon after, the power goes out in the White House. The Secret Service guards rush the president and his family to a safe room. Because only the White House lost power, the guards think they are under attack. On the way to the elevator, Henry sees his doll is missing. A guard named Teddy goes back, picks it up, and gives it to him. While they ride the elevator down to the basement, the guard dog barks angrily at the doll. The elevator lights suddenly go out. When the power comes back on a little later, the guards decide it is safe for President James and his family to go back to bed. The next day, a teenager named Jake does a live stream to show off his weird doll collection. He tells his viewers he is only missing a good guy doll. Since they aren't sold in stores anymore, he asks his followers to help him find one. That same morning, Henry shows his family a book. It says a past president died in the White House and his ghost still haunts it. His older brother, Grant, teases him and scares him even more. Before his mom takes him to school, Henry asks his dad to take the doll to work, saying Joseph wants to see the Oval Office. A few hours later, the president has a meeting and finds out the power outage was a hacker attack. He orders more security to protect his family. During all this, Chucky sits quietly in a chair, listening and getting ready for his evil plan. In a nearby town, Lexi uses social media to look for her missing sister. Last Christmas, Chucky killed her mom and kidnapped her little sister, Caroline. Lexi posts Caroline's last photo, begging for any clues. Back at the White House, President James walks into his office and sees the doll has moved to his chair. He asks his secretary, Sam, if anyone else came in, but she says no. That evening, Henry asks his dad for the doll. James says he left it in Henry's room. Henry asks Teddy the guard to check the room first. Teddy walks in and sees a small knife near the doll. Realizing he is caught, Chucky grabs Teddy's gun and shoots him in the head. The doll puts the gun in Teddy's hand to make it look like he killed himself. Afterward, Chucky calls Jake, giving him a hint about where he is, knowing Jake is looking for him. A few days later, the president's family goes to Teddy's funeral. James is sad about losing his friend. Henry sits with the doll on his lap, having no idea it is the killer. Because a White House guard died, many reporters show up. The president's family is on live TV. Jake and his friends watch the news, see the doll, and finally figure out Chucky is in the White House. They make a plan to go get him. Soon after Teddy dies, James and Charlotte hire a private detective named Price to investigate. Price sees the doll and asks about it. The parents explain that their youngest son, Joseph, died a year ago. Henry named the doll after him to deal with the sadness. While Henry is at school, Price searches the bedroom and finds tiny footprints in the closet. That same day, Lexi, Jake, their friend Devin, and their guardian Rachel arrive in Washington, D.C. Lexi starts chatting with the president's son, Grant, online. They agree to meet at a coffee shop the next day. Later that night, after the president leaves his office, his secretary Sam goes in to clean up. She picks up the doll. Suddenly, Chucky attacks her with a small knife, cutting her throat and killing her. Soon after, Detective Price finds her body. He texts Charlotte, who is shocked when she sees it, because 2 workers are now dead bed, Price thinks a killer broke into the White House. To protect the president's reputation, Price decides to hide the murder. He secretly gets rid of the body and makes Charlotte promise not to tell her husband. The next day, Grant meets Lexi and her friends at the coffee shop. He invites them to the White House, but Charlotte won't let 3 random teens in without meeting their guardian first. She sets up a meeting with Rachel. During the talk, Charlotte gets an urgent text and steps out to see Detective Price. While Price tells her his new clues, Chucky attacks Rachel in the other room and kills her using an American flag. The doll then calls Charlotte and says he left a gift. Charlotte and Price rush back and find Rachel dead. Charlotte panics and tries to call the police. Price stops her. He threatens to tell the public about a bad secret from her husband's past if she calls the cops. To protect her family, Charlotte stays quiet. That night, Chucky texts Jake using Rachel's phone. The 3 teens are heartbroken that the doll killed their guardian, just like their parents. Ever since her mom died, Lexi has wanted to save her little sister. But Lexi doesn't know the awful truth. Caroline has turned just as bad as Chucky. The little girl has been happily helping the doll kill people. After attacking a guy named Andy, Chucky is happy with his revenge. But he notices something is wrong. His doll body is getting old. He looks in the mirror and sees wrinkles and gray hair. He tries to use a magic book to get young again, but Caroline warns him it won't work. They go see a doctor. Dr. Rosen checks Chucky and says the doll is slowly dying from good magic. There is no real cure, but the doctor offers a quick fix. To get his evil god, Damballa, to help him stay in the plastic body, Chucky has to kill 6 innocent people in one night. That night, Chucky and Caroline break into a nearby house and stab everyone inside. Afterward, Chucky prays to his god, but the god ignores him. Chucky realizes random murders aren't enough. He needs to do something huge and evil to get the god's attention. This is the real reason he went to the White House. We find out that on the day of his brother's funeral, Henry found the doll sitting by the grave. Chucky told Henry his name was Joseph. Once the evil toy was brought into the president's house, the nightmare started. On Halloween, Charlotte and Price throw a big party at the White House to trap the killer. Henry doesn't want to go, so his parents hire a babysitter named Annie. Henry is bored, but Chucky is excited because he loves Halloween. Grant helps Lexi and her friends get into the party, where they meet the president and his wife. During the party, the president sees a little boy in the hallway who looks just like his dead son, Joseph. The president tries to go to him, but the boy runs away and the president chases him. Meanwhile, Lexi asks Grant for a tour of the house to distract him. This lets Jake and Devin sneak off to find Chucky. They search Henry's room, but the doll is gone. They call Lexi to help them look. The 3 teens go downstairs and find Henry holding Chucky. Scary enough, the doll has a big knife. Devin gently asks Henry for the doll, but the lights suddenly go out. In the dark, Chucky gets away. President James later finds the doll on the floor. He is confused, but his guards quickly rush him to a safe room. Back at the party, the babysitter Annie says she feels evil ghosts in the room. Just as she says it, a huge light fixture falls from the ceiling and crushes her and some guests. After this terrible event, the president's family is locked in a safe underground bunker. Meanwhile, Chucky tries his magic spell again to beg his god for power. He finishes the spell and takes off his Halloween mask, but he sees he looks even older and more rotten. This makes him very angry. The next morning, Chucky stays in bed while Henry goes to school because the doll is losing magic and getting very weak. Even though he is dying, Chucky keeps killing. When a maid comes in to clean, he sees a chance. While she picks up laundry, Chucky quietly switches her drinking water with bleach. The poor woman takes a drink and dies a painful death. Later, Henry comes home and sees his doll look sick. As he grabs a blanket for Chucky, Henry sees blood from the dead guard still on the wall. Scared, he runs crying to his mom. Charlotte goes upstairs to check. She almost sees the dead maid's body. If she had, Chucky was waiting to stab her. Luckily, Charlotte doesn't see anything and leaves. That afternoon, Lexi meets with Grant and says sorry for leaving him during the Halloween mess. They make up and agree to hang out over the weekend. At the same time, Jake and Devin find Dr. Rosen. They ask how to kill Chucky for good. The doctor tells them the doll is dying on its own. If Chucky doesn't fix his magic soon, he won't be able to move his soul to a new body, and he will fade away forever. Back in his office, President James is losing his mind. He can't stop thinking about seeing his dead son at the party. Suddenly, he sees a puddle of blood on the rug. He looks closer and sees his dead secretary's face in the blood. He looks away, scared, but when he looks back, the room is perfectly clean. James runs to his wife and tells her he is seeing ghosts. Charlotte thinks he is just stressed and tells him to see a doctor. Feeling guilty about hiding the murders, she talks to Price. The detective finally admits he thinks a ghost or demon is killing people. Charlotte laughs, but she stops when an American flag moves on its own, just like how it killed Rachel. Late at night, James goes into his dead son's bedroom and finds Chucky sitting there. James hears Joseph's Charles' ghost warn him to look out, but it's too late. Chucky hits the president on the head. Knowing he doesn't have much time left, the doll wants to take everyone down with him. Chucky attacks the president, rips off his ear, takes out his eyes, and kills him to steal his master keycard. This lets Chucky get into any room in the White House. Minutes later, Charlotte finds her husband's body and calls Price for help. While they try to figure out what to do, words written in blood appear on the wall, saying Chucky killed the president. A secret crew comes to take away James's body. Charlotte knows her kids aren't safe, so she runs to Grant's room and tells him to pack for Chicago. But before they can leave, Price blocks them. He tells Charlotte she can't leave. Price is scared that if people find out ghosts and killer dolls took over the White House, the whole country will panic. After talking to the doctor, Jake and Devin tell Lexi that Chucky is dying. But Lexi won't give up. She says they still have to catch the doll to find out where Caroline is. Later, Price calls Charlotte into a meeting. He says he brought in a ghost hunter. Even crazier, Price hired a fake lookalike named Randall. Randall looks just like James and will pretend to be the president so the public doesn't know he died. While Charlotte fights with Price over this crazy plan, Lexi, Jake, and Devin get to the White House during a bad storm. While eating pizza, Grant asks where his dad is. Since Charlotte hasn't told her kids their dad is dead, she avoids the question. When Charlotte leaves the room, Lexi tells Grant the truth. She explains that his brother's doll is a serial killer. Realizing his family is in huge danger, Grant agrees to help them fight. Meanwhile, little Henry wanders off to see his dad in the Oval Office. But Chucky finds the fake president first. The doll points a gun at Randall and takes him hostage. Chucky makes him walk down to the command center, killing any guards in their way. Still holding the gun, the doll tells Randall to launch nuclear missiles at Europe. Chucky's big plan is to start World War III. Luckily, Grant and his friends run into the room before the missiles launch. Chucky laughs and tells them his plan. Since he is going to die anyway, he wants to kill everyone on Earth with him. He thinks ending the world will make him the most famous person ever. Right before the launch, Jake tackles the doll. This gives Randall the chance to grab the gun and shoot Chucky. Bleeding and almost dead, Chucky uses his last bit of strength to press a button. He shoots a missile toward the North Pole. Luckily, the bomb blows up in an empty spot and hurts no one. Seconds later, Chucky's old body turns to dust. Lexi cries, realizing her only clue to finding her sister is gone. But the nightmare isn't over. The evil ghost of the killer, Charles, survives. After his doll body turned to dust, his ghost went to the spirit world and talked to his god. He found out he was punished because his murders weren't pure enough. Charles begs for one more chance. The god agrees and sends him back to the White House as an invisible ghost to finish the job. The next morning, Price and the vice president plan a fake news conference. They are going to tell the world the president is very sick. Randall, the fake lookalike, will give a speech quitting the job so the vice president can take over. To keep this a secret, Price locks the teens in a bedroom and takes their phones so they can't go online. Soon, two guards drag Grant to see his mom and brother. While Grant argues with Charlotte, little Henry starts screaming, terrified by Charles's invisible ghost. Just then, a doctor and a ghost expert named Timothy arrive. Timothy can feel the evil energy right away. Helped by two good guards, Charlotte tries to get her kids out of the house. But Grant won't leave without his friends. He says goodbye to his mom and asks one of the guards to help save them. Just as they break out, Price catches them. Surprisingly, he asks the teens to come to the living room to help the ghost expert get rid of the evil spirits. While the expert tries to talk to the ghosts, Randall records his fake video quitting as president. Right after, he hears that Price plans to kill him to keep the secret safe. Scared, Randall tries to run and hides in an elevator, but a guard catches him. They get into a big fight. Suddenly, a ton of thick blood pours from the ceiling, drowning them both. Right before he dies, Randall sees Charles's ghost face. When the elevator doors open downstairs, the doctor and the teens find them dead. Desperate, Timothy tries a ghost ritual to talk to Chucky, but it goes wrong and destroys the room. Heavy speakers fly through the air. The teens jump out of the way, but the doctor, the new vice president, and his helpers stay in their seats and are shocked to death by electricity. The group realizes the only way to beat Chucky is to fight him in the spirit world. To do this, someone has to actually die for a few minutes. Because he has a strong connection to the killer, Jake volunteers. Price gives Jake a shot that stops his heart for exactly 5 minutes. He promises to wake him up with another shot before time runs out. In the spirit world, Jake sees the ghost of his mean dad, who also died from a shock. His dad blames Jake for his death and tries to attack him. But Jake is brave, says he forgives him, and hugs him. Jake then looks for Charles and finds him. Instead of answering questions, the evil doll makes Jake watch his worst memories, including his dad getting killed. Seeing he won't get answers, Jake walks away and finds a good piece of Chucky's broken soul. This good piece actually talks to Jake and tells him where Caroline is hiding. Jake begs the good spirit to destroy itself to end the curse. Sadly, it is all a trick. The good piece just distracted Jake long enough for the evil Charles to jump into Jake's empty body in the real world. In the real world, the 5 minutes are up. Devin quickly gives Jake the wake-up shot. Jake wakes up, but no one knows Charles's evil soul is now controlling him. While all this was going on, Price and his men put bombs all over the White House. The bombs blow up, setting the building on fire. Hearing the bombs, the teens try to run but get separated by the fire. Timothy gets into an elevator with Jake. As the doors close, Charles, who is controlling Jake, attacks Timothy and traps him in the burning elevator. Meanwhile, Grant looks for his guard friend. He finds him badly hurt and realizes Price set the bombs. Very angry, Grant knocks Price backward and locks him in an office. Trapped with nowhere to go, Price gets attacked by angry ghosts and burns to death. Grant gets out of the burning White House with Devin and Lexi. Grant is happy to see his mom. Jake then walks out of the smoke and hugs his friends. They still have no idea that their friend's body has been taken over by the killer. A few weeks later, Jake, Devin, and Lexi go looking for Caroline using the clue from the spirit world. They get to the creepy house of an old man named Wendell. He invites them in and tells them he makes toys and treats his dolls like real kids. Wendell is actually the guy who first created the good guy Chucky dolls back in 1987. He even shows them a perfect copy in his closet. Suddenly, little Caroline steps out of the dark. Lexi cries and runs to hug her, but Caroline pushes her away. Caroline admits she loves being bad and helping Chucky. Lexi and Devin realize with fear that Jake is possessed. Caroline uses a dark magic spell to pull Charles's soul out of Jake and put it into the new doll. Jake is back to normal, but Charles is officially alive again as a doll. Caroline then helps Chucky and Wendell move the souls of Lexi, Jake, and Devin into the bodies of 3 other dolls. Hours later, in the middle of the night, a woman named Nika gets to the house, but she also ends up becoming a victim of Wendell. Meanwhile, Caroline drives away to the nearest town, sitting happily next to Chucky and his doll girlfriend, Tiffany. Alright, so that's where Season 3 ends. If you liked it, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more recaps.